So a little bit about cultural introductions. They are a very powerful way and different way of introducing ourselves as whole people to each other. It can be useful when you're starting to work with a new group, or even if it's a group that you've been working with for a while, it can be a new way to connect to each other and to disrupt power structures in groups. They can be really transformational exercises that help people to connect in positive and empathetic ways that maybe haven't been done before. So essentially what a cultural introduction is, it's an introduction of yourself to others without using any formal titles or especially job titles that you hold. So the only thing that's off limits for you to talk about is your formal position at your institution, who you may be managing or how you got there, etc. We want to first have you introduce yourselves in a way that highlights who you are as a whole person. Some folks, when they prepare for their cultural introduction, may want to make some notes or have some bullet points to work off from. Others just prefer to let their thoughts and their words flow naturally. There's no one right way to do this, but you may want to just start thinking about some points to include talking about yourself in this way. Some of the things that you might want to include in your cultural introduction are thinking about your family of origin and parts of your journey that you can share that will convey who you are today. You can talk about your core values and how you develop them. You could talk about strengths. You can talk about things that are important to you as a person and why those are important to you. What communities and identities are you a part of? You can talk about hobbies or other things that make you up. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to start my timer here on my phone and tell you a little bit about myself. Okay, so my name is Liz DeVilleneuve, and I identify as queer Latinx. I was born in Coahuila, Mexico, in Ciudad Acuña, and I pretty much grew up in the States since I was about a year and a half old. My mom is Mexican and she's from Coahuila, and my dad is white and he's from Texas. And I spent the first 4 years of my life in Del Rio and Fort Worth, Texas, where my dad's family is from. And a big part of my early experiences in my family was traveling and moving between Texas and Washington State. And oftentimes people ask me if it was for farm work, but it wasn't. My parents were both wanderers and wanted to explore different communities. Sometimes they would just decide overnight that we were going to pick up and move. And so because of that, I got to see a lot of the Western United States and live in different states like Colorado and Oklahoma and Texas and Washington, and see everywhere in between. And I also know now that that is all of that moving around is part of the reason why now I am so attached to land and to place, because it really felt unstable at times as a child. And so I've created that stability now for myself as an adult. Let's see, I think it's important to share with you that I've grown up in these two worlds, in Mexican culture and in white culture. And I've grown up as a bilingual person, growing up as queer. Also, all of these spaces and different communities and sometimes opposing or contradictory spaces have allowed me to and led me to be a person who embodies this in-between world and these gray areas. And I'm often the bridge in those spaces. And so I think that's also informed my values as a social worker. I have a strong sense of social justice, and a big part of the role that I've played in my social work is connecting people to each other, to resources, to ideas and spaces and whatever they need, and where they are in their journey to be able to continue on to being their best selves. Another value that I hold and am growing is silence and calm and peacefulness, and trying to grow that experience and that way of being together wherever I go. Some of my hobbies are reading and going on walks whenever I can, and getting outside as often as I can. I love to garden, and I don't get enough time. I always want more time outside in my garden and with my plants, and there's never enough time for it. I'm somebody that's very impressed by and in awe of the natural world. If we're riding in a car together, I'll be the person that'll be like, oh, look, cows. Oh, look at the moon. Look at the mountains. In the Pacific Northwest, we're surrounded by so many beautiful landscapes and mountains, and I'm definitely that person that will always point them out, like on the daily. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen the mountains out. It will always catch my eye, and I'll comment or I'll pause. I'm looking at my timer now. I've only got 7 seconds. Thank you so much for listening to my cultural introduction, and I hope that it's helpful for you as you are completing your own. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.